I'm live. I finally got it to work. My hair's a mess, but we're live. I got to put this out on Twitter right now because I am excited that it actually effing worked. Not right now, thing, twitter.com. Let's go ahead and put this up. So it'd be. See if I get this to work. If it works, I will ask people questions and it's going to be awesome. I'm actually live. It's happening. It's happening. And I heard myself back. I didn't want that. So I'm going to find this thing. It's the share button. Please be the share button. Cool. Let's put it on Twitter right now. Ah, this is finally working. Okay, I'm excited. Hello, everybody. My name is Ayaz Akhtar. I am working on nothing right now. I just finished up a very long project that took most of the day, and my hair's a mess. I'm going to get myself cleaned up in a little bit. If anybody shows up still at CNET, I will no longer be at CNET starting on the 16th of January. So that's coming to a close, and going to be doing some other stuff. Not sure exactly what I'll be doing, but I'll figure it out. How are you doing, Destroy Boredom? Because you're here, I'm here. I think you're destroying your boredom. That's a really great name. I like that. I should have called myself that. Why didn't I think that? Anyway, so I am today was a lot of resume work. Resume work. I haven't had to do this in 8.5 years. So yeah. That was a kind of a shock there. So now I'm going to be dealing with that and I need to figure out what I'm going to be doing. I don't really know. I've kicked around the idea of doing this old nerd again. Is my audio too low? I can turn the gain up. Anyway, I'll see what degree did I get? What degree did you get to do your job at CNET? I don't know what you mean by that. What degree did I get to do your job? Like I did everything I wanted to do there. I think I wanted to do top five. I got to do that. I got to do 404. That was really fun. I've launched a bunch of different shows and series. It's done really, really. I thought I did pretty damn well. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Um, what degree did you get to do your job at CNET? That's an interesting question. Are you asking like about degrees, like as in when it comes to educational degrees? I'm not sure if I understand that. So I'm going to hang around for a little bit. Like I'm saying, I'm just going to stretch a little. Oh, and since I'm using this YouTube studio, I'm just literally going through the website and pushing it that way. So I don't have any fun like graphics or anything. I've been messing around with Twitch the past couple of days, and I kind of like using that because I can use a college degree. I had nope, sorry, for my college degree was a bachelor's in biology, bachelor of arts. That's technically what it was because Boston University, for some reason, gives BAs out for biology. So that's what I got. And that was a long time ago. That was back in 2001 when I was a kid. And now I'm an old man. So that's how that works. So, what else will I be saying right here? I'm shooting the breeze. I haven't officially said anything anywhere other than what you just heard right now. So, you might be the only person outside of certain circles that know about this. So, I'm going to post that up somewhere else myself. Please let me choose to decide how I send out that message. I might send it out next week when I'm wrapping up entirely. I have to like get some equipment back to the company and stuff, and I've got to figure out, a future. It's kind of important. I'm an old man now, so it's kind of a weird mid career kind of thing that I've got to figure out. Hello, everybody. Oh my God, we have tripled the amount of viewers. This is fantastic. This is the greatest news on earth. I'm just recording from the camera there. I don't have any fancy stuff going on right now. So if you're like, hey, where are like the cool like buttons and stuff, I don't have any of that right now. I just wanted to see if I can get my camera to work with YouTube Studio. I had something that was like blocking it. I finally found a fix for that, and I just wanted to see if it worked, and it looks like it works. Thank you, Destroy Boredom. I appreciate your discretion. That is very good. Does anybody got any questions or comments that they'd like to talk about? Today's been an interesting day. I did a live stream earlier today on Twitch, and I talked about Meta's canceled wristwatch project, which seemed really interesting. There was a Bloomberg report on that about how this wristwatch device would have two cameras on it, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea and strange at the same time because one of the cameras was located on the inner side. I've not seen this person in years. Hey, Zigzag. So imagine the Meta watch. Imagine this is the watch itself. It's way too big. These are my headphones, right? You'd be able to pull it out of its magnetic dock, and on the bottom here would be a camera, so you could take pictures real quick and then pop it back on. I thought that was kind of a cool idea. I don't know if it was going to work, but according to the Bloomberg article, the Meta wristwatch was going to try to translate your nerves, or not your nerves, translate like the signals from your hands into commands. So that is kind of nuts. It also would have worked with their metaverse stuff. So if you're talking about using your hands as controllers, that would be something else. Been thinking of doing this. We'll watch your progress. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for that. My progress is, well, I mean, look at me. I'm a mess. I've been working on stuff all day, and gonna get myself cleaned up in a little bit because my wife's gonna come home. I'm at home. My wife's at work. She's got an awesome job. She's awesome at everything she does. So she's great. So I want to make sure when she gets home, I'm all presentable and pretty. Oh, I look like a mess, and I'm okay with that. Who has, or in the long run, is going to have a better hardware, Meta or Snapchat? I think Snapchat might have a more successful hardware platform. Who would have better hardware? I think, like I was saying in that Twitch stream earlier, and anytime anybody talks to me, I don't know if Meta is really trustworthy enough to get its hardware to be successful. I think the Facebook portal, great piece of hardware, but Facebook, right? So like that's the kind of thing. So maybe Snap will have some cool stuff out there, and people might use it like that drone and things because Snap is almost like, I don't want to say like a disposable brand, but it's like it's not exactly, that's kind of their, that was the whole social network, right? It was just, here's expiring content, which is a great hook. And if you have, you don't have to have like great, amazing content. It's just stuff that's going to be up for a little bit and doesn't go, just goes away. I heard that the Snap drone is not exactly the greatest camera ever, but that's not the point of this stuff. Sometimes stuff's got to be just good enough. So like think about the Nintendo Wii. That's how I think of stuff. The Nintendo Wii is really, or was really, really fun. Is this a live chat of an indeterminable length? That would be, that'd be nice. The chat out loud, I guess. Yes. But back to that. I lost my point because now you made me think about Buzz Out Loud. If you guys don't know, I helped some folks put together an archive of the old Buzz Out Loud while I was at CNET. So I talked to people behind the scenes. And I'm like, how do we find this? Can we have this content anywhere? And we kept finding it. And some fine folks came up with ways to scrape data off the site, and they found the original files up to a certain point, which was pretty freaking cool because I used to love watching Buzz Out Loud. Oh, I'm your hero. Thank you, Brian. I think you're awesome. I mean, I'm no hero. I'm some dude, but I'm hoping that you're having a good day as well. Um, that sorry, that actually meant a lot. I appreciate that a lot. I'm actually moved. I'm not good at doing that. Anyway, so we did the Buzz It Loud thing, which was really great, and we got it out to people. And I used to be one of those guys in the chat room. If you ever, I don't know how, I don't know what your internet memory is, but a long time ago, way back when Tom and Molly and Veronica and Veronica, then it was Jason, when they were doing Buzz Out Loud, I'd be in the chat room. And I think I told the story earlier today. Uh, I was I was Iaz in the chat room, right? And so like they didn't know how to pronounce my name, so they would call me Iaz all the time. So I thought, hey, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? So I did my name. I'm gonna write it in here in the chat to show you what it looks like. It would be like I, a cap Y, and then like that. So like iPod. People then started saying my name properly, Iaz. And I'm like, oh, it's Iaz from the chat. And I'm like, oh, cool. So they got it. They were saying it right. And I always had a lot to say in the chat because I would look up things or find out different. I would find out different, oh, what's the word? Different sources to find more information, and then I would help them, or like almost like Stat Boy on PTI. So I would help them find stuff because I really enjoyed the show. And one of the funny things is I got to meet Molly Wood in real life a long time ago. And I met her at CES and I said, oh, nice to meet you. I really wanted to say hi. My name is IS. She goes, oh, okay, nice to meet you. And I go, well, I'm IS from the chat. And she goes, oh, you're IS from the chat. And I was like, well, I was just shocked. She was actually like excited to meet me, which was cool because I was super excited to meet her. And now I kind of know her, which is kind of cool. So like through Tom, and like it's such a weird thing that's gone on over time. So I really thought that was such a weird thing. I've gotten to work with Tom Merritt. He officiated my wedding to my wife. Like some weird stuff, man. I will say it's super weird to think about like how I've gotten to work with so many of my people I've respected and admired, and I've gotten to like hang out with them, chat, have a drink, shoot the breeze, that kind of stuff. Somebody was asking a question. Did you ever work with Sam Sheffer? Is that the paleontologist? No, it's not the paleontologist. I don't know who that is. And so I would say no, I have not. But that's cool. He worked at Engadget, The Verge, Mashable. Now he makes content on his own. That's cool. That's very cool. Good for this guy. I'm looking at his Instagram right now. Maybe I'll try to work with him someday. I don't really know his work, but at least from his name, I might actually know his work from Engadget. I was a big and still am a huge nerd when it comes to technology. I love technology. And one of the things that's been driving me bonkers is the fact that technology is now in everything. So now that technology is in everything, the thing I used to love is no longer special, which is fine. It's like, your band, your favorite band, you're like, oh, they made it, but they're sellouts now. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what it's like. Like all the stuff that made me a nerd is not there anymore. And like I was a big Marvel fan, right? And DC. I read all those books when I was a kid. And now that the world is enjoying that, I'm happy that like this nerd culture is now just mainstream culture. If you said when I was in high school that everyone would know that Tony Stark is the name of Iron Man, like in the world, I'd say you're how? Unless like he pops from another dimension and he becomes like a real person. There's no way on earth that's gonna happen. And it happened. So that's kind of cool. I just went off on a tangent there. Let's see. I would have. Okay, so Brian says you're always brilliant on that show. Thank you. You watch religiously great. I would have to agree with you a lot. I don't really watch any tech shows anymore because tech is completely infused into our lives. Yeah, so that's why I was thinking about I'm kicking around, bringing back this old nerd, right? If you haven't watched that, this is a show which is based on this old house. I started it a long time ago, so I was younger then. So like I thought it would be kind of funny. It's like I'm this old nerd, older, and well, older than ever, nerdier, not so much. So one of the things is the stuff I used to work really, really hard to make happen, like making a computer work with a television and having a remote that worked with it. Okay, that would be Media Center PC, maybe, or then XBMC, which was a thing. Remember XBMC? Then that became Plex and Kodi. They separated. There was just a whole bunch of these HTPC stuff, and I was like, wow, I got to build this up. I have to have the server. I got to have my content ripped from my DVDs. I got to do all this F and work, right? And then now you can just get like you just buy a TV, sign into a streaming service and just watch whatever you want, or watch any other streaming services and get all of The Simpsons, like all of Frasier, all this stuff's everywhere. I'm so confused as to what's going on. As I'm only 15, destroy boredom. You're only 15. Well, my son's 11. He's going to turn 12 later this month. So if you're confused, that's normal. There is so much going on in this world and the amount of data that's coming in to your mind, in coming through your phones, coming through your televisions, coming through every screen that you have. It's getting harder and harder to differentiate what is real and what's not. And if you're confused, that's okay. What I would say is what I say to my kid. So I will say it to you, not that you're a kid. It's that uh, remain critical in your approach to receiving data. Don't be afraid to challenge your own beliefs. Occasionally, I'll watch this. I'll make it much lighter than that. Occasionally, I'll watch. There's a YouTube channel called "Your Movie Sucks" or something, and I will watch his opinion of these movies that I really love. So movies that I think are like, oh, I think they're fantastic, they're great. I want to watch this person's opinion, see what they think. They're saying it sucked and they're breaking it down. And most times, this person has some really great critical concepts that are in there. That are things that I overlooked, and sometimes I chose to overlook. Sometimes you have these plot holes, or you have nonsensical items happening in the movie, but sometimes you're swept up in disbelief because the movie's that good, and that's okay. But to have a critical eye as to what you're seeing is not a bad thing. The worst thing you can do for confusion is getting in an echo chamber. When you're only talking to people that only think about the same things or talk about and think about the same stuff you do, that's where you don't grow. You need to get out of that echo chamber. So make sure that you're talking to other people, you're reading the different sources, you're reading reputable sources for news. When you're I mean, if you've got time, if you ever take a look at what these terms and conditions say when you sign up for stuff, that kind of sucks. I'm not saying you got to waste your time doing that, but that is something that can make you more critical. Um, there's a great line by Conan O'Brien when he left the Tonight Show. Don't be cynical. He hates cynical people. I was a very sarcastic, cynical, the world sucks, I'll fight the world kind of teenager. And I built that attitude because I'm one of 4 kids. I'm the third one. Do that right there. And as the third kid, I was kind of meant to like follow the older ones and be the example for the younger one. And it's like I wanted to be myself. And I came from a very strict family. So I had a chip on my shoulder. I had a real chip on my shoulder when I was young. So I just thought, hey, I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want to do. And that didn't that ruffled a lot of feathers. I will honestly say that I think when I look back, and I would probably cringe. I'm sure everyone does this. So confused or not, it's gonna happen to it's happened to everybody. You look back and you're like, whoa, what was I thinking? I thought that was a good look, or that's just like clothing, or like a choice as to what you thought your identity was. Like I thought like comic books was a great identity, and technology. I loved this stuff, and I was like, okay, this is all I love. Right? This is the stuff I love. And now that everybody's got it, I'm like, well, what am I? I'm nobody. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to be because everybody's got all the stuff I wanted. Like now that you don't have to hook up an HTPC to your television to do anything, like you don't have to run a media server at home if you don't want to. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Like when wireless networking came out, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, it's freaking happening. Wireless networking. You don't have to be tethered. When we had 1 gigabit, was it no 100 megabit internet in college, I was like, whoa, this is amazing because I came from dial up in high school. Like stuff has changed so much and it's great. It's fantastic. But you do have that issue of information overload. How do you figure out what's going on? Let's see. I don't watch tech shows. We talked about that. Many times you just need to check your brain at the door, understand what you're watching is pure cotton candy. It's just sweetness and means nothing afterwards. Yeah, sometimes that's true of movies. I do enjoy that. Hey, Becky. Hey, so Liz isn't here. She's at work. She's going to be coming back soon, but I'll let her know that you're here. It's good to see you. Zigzag, you missed the old flip camera. I was just writing about how when I first was editing a website, I was a editor at a site called Gadgetel. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was a thing. And we did a video show, and I think we put it out. It was like a 480p show. So what we do is um, we would get on a Skype call and talk. And my studio at that time was literally in a closet. I had a big enough closet, and I had like a ring light around there. The ring light wasn't a ring light; it was this those lamps with like with all the gooseneck lights? That's what my ring light was. And I had a Kodak ZI6 camera there, and the ZI6 had a little reflector on the front, so you could push it, and that was your selfie uh, mirror, so you could see yourself in the shot. So to record it in HD on both our sides. We'd do the thing, do the call, and then he'd upload the video and I'd put it together. And so it was so silly because we were both shooting like on similar HD cams. I think he had also a Kodak ZI6, and we would fake this show, and it looked great. And it well, in my memory, I'm sure it looks like crap in real life because I'm like, who wants to watch a guy who's sitting in a closet? Basically, I'm sitting in the closet. There was a red curtain behind me. I had I hung the curtain using I had bungee cable and screws. Okay, so I just popped that up there and screwed it in, and I'm like, on camera, this looks good. In real life, it was a closet. All right, a closet. So that's just ridiculous. That was a real thing I did. I was as I was doing this, as I was discussing, I was doing some resume building, and I was talking about how in this stuff, how I've built so much weird stuff over time. I've built not so much. I've built my share of weird stuff. I've built several different teleprompters. I've put together multiple computers so I could have live Skype calls. This is like pre Zoom days. Mix minus audio systems. My friend Randall and I worked for him, Randall Bennett. He mapped out how to do all this and how to create a mix minus system, which I did not understand because I'm not an audio engineer, but he's a genius and he figured it out and he already knew it and he knew audio. Taught me a bunch of that stuff. Um, that was that. Um, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. So I'm going to the comments. I don't know why I start singing for no reason. I think it's just habit. Brian says, I finally got full self driving downloaded onto my Tesla yesterday. There's a sentence. Here we are in time where the car can drive you door to door. We're living the future. In 5 years, it'll just be normal. Yeah. Love that idea. Don't know if I want to own the car to do that. I also am like, I would love the idea of essentially like when the cars become like your own private like train car, right? If these vehicles are networked together where you're essentially diminishing traffic, I think that'd be great because you can have these cars figure out through networking where packets cars are supposed to go. It's kind of what would be nice, but then could have issues with that. So I hope it becomes normalized. I personally, I'm a city guy. I really don't like driving. I don't like getting in cars. I don't like getting in the bus. Honestly, I think the bus is better than a car, but it's the bus, and you're still subjected to the same amount of road issues of other people and traffic and pedestrians and all this construction. There's always something. At least with the subway, yeah, there's construction. Yeah, there's other people. Yeah, there's other crap going on, but at least they have their own tracks. You know what I mean? But yeah, self-driving cars, if you could think of them in my head, if they're like little pods for people that can just go, I kind of would love that if I could like kind of not disconnect while I'm in the car, but I also have a really hard time just sitting in an airplane or just like doing any of that stuff just by myself. I hate sitting there. Um, I just want to get up. Not that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a super active guy. It's just like I just don't want to be stuck and travel. Travel to me, like that show Severance. If I could have my mind just like turn off during that time, that would be really mean to that traveling IS. Traveling IS would lose his mind. Quite honestly, he would just be like, "No, no, I'm on a plane again. No, why?" It'd be awful. Watch Severance if you haven't watched it. It's on Apple TV Plus. It is a fantastic show. Tech is best says tech now is amazing. It's about how you use it as a tool and not a time waster. A waster. I got so excited about that I almost knocked my headphones off. Yes, tech is a tool. Thank you. When I've talked to larger, huge audiences, um, or general audiences, sometimes they get tribal and they're like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't say negative stuff about Apple. You shouldn't say negative stuff about Google. You shouldn't say negative." It's like, look, I'm not saying it's bad inherently. I'm saying this doesn't work for me. Okay, when something doesn't work for me, that's fine. Could work for you. You could love something that I don't really enjoy. Like, here's a good example. I'm not the biggest fan of sliced tomatoes or olives or pickles. And the thing is, it all works out at home. Liz loves those things. Here you go. My son loves pickles. Here you go. All good. We can all enjoy our stuff. Nothing wrong with that. I prefer if they didn't put pickles in my food. That's a different thing because I'm an old man. Destroy Boredom says, I don't film in a studio, though I feel your pain of trying to put something together. Where do you film? What do you do? Let me know more about that as I keep reading. I agree. We won't be owning cars in the future. We'll just use them. I love that idea. Terry McLaughlin, I miss tinkering. Want to try Chrome Flex OS, but I can't find an old laptop. Ah ha ha. Yeah, see, tinkering, I love the idea of doing that stuff. And one of the things about This Little Nerd, that show was about a guy, me, who just doesn't have time. Okay, look, the kid was just born. I had actually, I didn't have a job. I was making that a job. I was just trying to make the house better. I was taking care of two dogs and a son. Okay, and so I didn't have time to be like, oh yeah, hey, shh, shh, shh. I'm trying to make my HTPC work. It's like any minute I could steal away when he was taking a nap. I would have to make sure that things were happening fast. To the point on that show, he became a character on the show because he wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stay asleep. So he'd start crying. I'm like, well, I'm just going to bring him onto the show because I got to talk and I don't have time. So I love the idea of tinkering. I haven't had time to do that in a while. I don't know if I will. I think I've done a lot of mental tinkering. I've done a lot of work when it comes to, okay, experimentally, how does this work? Doing wiring diagrams. Like, okay, I'm sitting by myself or I'm stuck traveling. Grab my Galaxy Note 25G and I can just draw on it and go, okay, I had like I had eight components for my home theater. So I got to figure out how the cabling is going to work. And I started thinking, like, why do I have eight of these things? Because I have a redundancy system. When my son was super young, if he wanted to watch something and it broke, I had to make sure there was something right there. So I always had a redundancy. If the Apple TV didn't work, the Roku worked. If the Roku didn't work, then I had an NVIDIA Shield. If the Shield didn't work, I had a Chromecast. Like I had all of this like double redundancy, if not triple redundancy, on these things. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't think I need that as much anymore. Um, Things have gotten a lot more reliable these days. The services that are out there have a ton of content, and he's not as impatient since he's older. Like you have a 2 year old, he wants to see cars, and you can't get cars right away. He's gonna freak out, and I don't have time for that. That being said, I did teach him discipline, so he's don't worry. It's not like a spoiled little kid who gets to just watch whatever he wants whenever he wants. That's just not the way stuff works in the Akhtar household, they will tell you that. Let's see. I don't feel in the suit, right? I agree with Tony cars. I miss tinkering. Yep. You want hover cars? I don't know if I want a flying car, Becky. If it's just hovering and essentially you're removing the friction of the vehicle's wheels against the road, okay, I could see that. A breakdown is one thing. I've seen all of these. I've seen all of these flying cars, and they're just essentially like small airplanes because you still have to make it look like a plane because you need some kind of lift to it. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, what if you fall out of the sky?" It's like, yeah, that could happen. Okay, now what? I mean, I honestly don't know what the solution is. We see a lot of these. It'd be interesting to see a movie that kind of handles that. I don't remember exactly any movies where like there's like a flying traffic jam or something. Also, if you're running low on fuel, like how do you safely get down? And like there's all of this fun stuff that I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just don't know. I'm not a civil engineer. I think my uncle is actually. I'm sure they actually could figure out like what is the infrastructure you would need to make it work because this I can't quite figure out how that works. The future is never having to go anywhere. Yes, never having to go anywhere. I love that idea. You don't have to go somewhere. Like you can get everything brought to you, but if you don't want to go somewhere, that's great. But I love the choice of being able to walk around. I got to. I feel good about the fact I got to live in Manhattan. Living in Manhattan right now, it's a walkable part of town. I can be outside. I can see things. Obviously, we got the thing, all the fun pandemic stuff going on. So like we still can't be super outside. I mean, it's better to be outside than inside. You know what I'm talking about there. What is one wheel? I make videos on one wheel. I think the one wheel is that transit device. It's like a imagine a board and there's like a wheel in the middle. It's kind of like a giant skateboard with one wheel, hence the name One Wheel. Why did they go to self-driving cars instead of networking cars and using collision avoidance software? Okay, so networking. So here's where we've got issues. Self-driving cars and networking. You need super fast abilities for these devices to communicate with each other, and they need to have low latency. And I believe that was one of the promises of 5G. So, like, just think of it this way: we're going to have a network. You could do an ad hoc network. That's where you don't have a router in the middle or something in the middle to act as a point, a main point. But if it's ad hoc networking, you just have like a device and another device, and they can talk to each other. The thing is, how do you build a network or standard to do that? Now, in theory, with 5G, due to the lack of latency, sorry, the lower latency of 5G and the capacity, you could have all of these devices, including vehicles, excuse me, all these devices, including vehicles, communicating with a cell phone tower or something similar, and still be able to get all kinds of data about a much larger area. So, in theory, I think there should be the ability for these devices to produce information that needs to be routed into some other piece of software that either the card needs to then be the recipient of. Okay, hey, there's a card to your right, here's what's going on. So the question is whether the computations are happening away from the car or in the car. What kind of power? This is funny, it's not horsepower, you're thinking about like compute power this car has, or machine learning models, all this stuff, like this machine learning stuff, the computational photography stuff that's going on in phones. All this stuff is really interesting on the idea of how it makes tech work together. The Fifth Element talked about traffic jams. I don't remember that. Doctor Who traffic jam for centuries. I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't watch Doctor Who. Liz watches it. My son has watched it. I I don't know why I don't want to watch Doctor Who, other than the fact I think it's like 30 years old and there's like five or six, seven, eight doctors. I don't know. I don't know. I believe CNET had an article on like how do you start with Doctor Who? Because I'm like, I don't know. It's like he's 30 years. Where do you start? I don't know. I don't want to watch. I don't know why I don't want to watch it. Maybe one day I'll watch it. It's just not. It doesn't appeal to me. I Well, okay, that might not be true. It may be because someone I know who I'm not the biggest fan of is a big fan of it. And I'm like, this is not you, Becky. So making that very clear. Becky, I like you very much. But there's somebody I know who likes it. I'm like, I don't really like them. And if I don't want to like have something in common with them. So I'm not going to watch this. I don't want to watch this flying time. What is it? The TARDIS. Look, it's been around forever. I'm sure it's great. Again, more for you. Not like there's a limited amount of Doctor Who. I've been yapping for 30 minutes. You guys have been fantastic. It's 5:40. Have I my chat still running? Ah, jeez. This has been a day. How's everybody else doing today, by the way? Because it has been super, super mind draining today for me. I will say hi to Liz. Brian says, I've never watched Doctor Who either because it has such a history. I guess it's how other people feel about getting into the whole Star Trek or Star Wars universe. Yeah. So, okay, I'll just out myself as everything that I'm not the biggest fan of. Okay, Star Wars. I don't like magic. Okay? I don't like magic in my shows. So when they have like the Force, like when I was watching Mandalorian, I'm like, oh, this is great. It's just like a Western. I'm fine with that. But then they're like, here's the Force. I'm like, no, not the oh no. Don't bring the magical thing. No, no. I don't like that. This also I'm not a big fan of that. That's one. Two, I like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Parts of it, I've only watched like a handful of episodes because it'd be on Channel 11. Channel 11's the was the local station that ran Yankees games. So every now and then it would just be on, and I would just watch it, and it was good. I wasn't like in love with it. I don't hate it. It's just like yeah, it's fun. I find Star Trek, well, Next Generation, pretty fun. I started watching. Oh, what was the one that it debuted on? Oh, Voyager. I started watching Voyager when it was on UPN because I'm like, oh, it's a new network. I want to try this out. It was okay. It was all right. I just was like, okay, that's good. I got my fill. I don't think I need to see like a long overarching story. Like every now and then I could kind of pop in and out of that. So I like that. The new stuff, I don't feel like watching, Picard or like Lower Decks or the other one, Discovery. There's so many of them. I did watch the movies, the new ones, and I thought they were like fun for a little bit. The number two kind of broke everything with the magic blood. The magic blood. What the heck is that about? You can't use something that removes death. If you remove death in a story, you can't. There's no stakes, right? There's no stakes. So why would you do that? Why'd you do it so early? Like if you wanted to do that like in like the sixth one, not in the second one. Don't kill off a character and then bring them back in the same movie. Like so you got that in Star Trek, and then you got Star Wars, whichever one I forget, where it looks like Chewie blows up, and like within 30 seconds he's back. It's like you don't what I think this is I'm talking about J.J. Abrams and not just being that might be maybe that's my issue. I'm not a big Abrams. I like his stuff in theory, but sometimes the execution is like, what did I just watch? What did uh, data is the best. I agree on that wholeheartedly. I'm gonna watch January 6th this evening. I know probably shouldn't have brought it up here. Hey, if you're gonna watch those things, go ahead. It's there's the political climate in this country in the United States where I am, where you are, I assume, is that it's pretty messy. There's a lot of strife and a lot of polarization of things, and there seems to be like a lack of unity, a lack of compassion for each other on stuff, and that's a real bummer. I will say, and I don't mean to be too diminishing of it, like it's a bummer. It's like yeah, it's a drag. It's like we should be able as a people to like take care of each other without being massive jerks to each other. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. That we could take care of each other. Like when I lived in Vermont, and Vermont had really high taxes, and Vermont had high taxes because like they gave health care to the old and the young. It's like yeah, because and people were fine with it. Okay, because they're like, hey, look, this is okay. So all I can say is, and I'm hoping that wherever you guys are, like if you're in a state that is, I mean, physically a state that is progressive or matches your ideology, that might help. It's hard to see it on a national scale what's going on, and it's really bizarre to see the stuff that's on the news every now and then. But if you live in a community is that works for you, that's a great thing. If you the idea of mobility, like oh, can you leave your community to find a better one? That's very difficult. There's that's supposed to be the whole like why are there 50 states? Why are there 50 states? Because like in theory, each one of these states. Oh right. 1 second. Sorry, there's some real life stuff that just came in. Um, It's Thursday. Anyways, back to the 50 states. The 50 states are supposed to be like these experimental territories, essentially, that they can, let's say, this one state tries something and it works really well. Oh, maybe the other state should do it. Let me try this other one. This one state doesn't do this well. Or like they legalize this happens. They make something else illegal. Let's see how that goes. They serve as models for the rest of the country. Oh, let's talk techie stuff. Sorry, I agree. I'm sorry. I got kind of lost there. Tech stuff. Okay, tech stuff is a good podcast, by the way. Go watch that or listen to it. I believe my friend Jonathan Strickland is still on that. You're gonna watch that thing. I totally agree. Next Generation was the best iteration. Yeah, I guess it was. I tried to watch the original series on. I watched the original series on Paramount Plus, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is like cartoonishly silly." And then try to put myself in the context of the world at the time, because I also love like the Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone's like one of my favorite shows ever. I'm not talking about the reboot. I watched the reboot. I'm not talking about either reboot. Actually, I've watched both reboots. Oh boy, not great. But the original Twilight Zone, I loved that thing. Even though you could see some of the twists coming a mile away, um, it was just so. It was fun. Like I liked it. It's just challenging little twists, and like I was like Twilight Zone became a thing for me because on Channel 11, again, Channel 11, they had a Twilight Zone marathon every year around New Year's. So around New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, it'd just be Twilight Zone all day. So I started watching that. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. Now, when the Western stuff would happen, like, I don't want to watch cowboys. Oh, not cowboys. So there's still episodes I've never seen. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Because now I'm a little bit more open. But back then, when I was a kid, I'm like, I just want to see like aliens and like spaceships and like space travel. I wanted to see that stuff. And that seemed really cool. But the Western stuff, I'm like, yeah, why is there magic in the West? For some reason, I think it's okay when it's sci-fi, but it's if it's sci-fi. But if it ever touches on fantasy, that's when I'm like, oh no, don't bring in an elf. Don't bring in. I mean, you can have pointy ears. Just call him a Vulcan. Just leave that alone. Um, okay, so actually, I forgot I have real life stuff I got to do in approximately 13 minutes. I need to prep for that. Does anybody have any questions or comments they would like to throw at me before I have to go? Because I need to take care of something relatively soon. Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits. Outer Limits, I haven't really watched. I got to watch that. Oh, I got the spinny wheel. My Mac today has been what's the word? I wouldn't say unreliable. It's been unremarkable today. Unremarkable. Okay, I got to do that. So, okay. I'm gonna go right now. I will be back. I might be streaming more on Twitch. I don't know if I'll do a dual stream or a simultaneous streaming on both of these things, so I can see the chat in both. I don't know. Would make more sense to be on Twitch since they have more tools and I can show you the browsers and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I like YouTube just fine because I can build a presence here. It's kind of neat. I like YouTube because it's about anything, and Twitch started off as video gaming, but then again, it's about everything now. So let me know which one you want to see me at. But then again, I haven't seen some of you over there, so I think it makes sense to do one or the other. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for being with me in this 38-minute impromptu test video of me just. When's my next chat? I will probably do one tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'll be talking about tech things at 11. Basically, I'm reading the news and you get my impressions right away. It's going to be at twitch.tv/IasActar. I need to get a better name for that. Maybe I can do like a redirect IAS.tv/live or something. I don't have that yet. I have the .tv thing. I can set up the redirect. I should set the redirect. I'll do that right now. So I'll do that. I'll see you guys tomorrow, either here or there. If you don't like using Twitch, use Twitch next time. I don't know. I'll see everybody next time. You guys have a good day. I'm Ayaz Akhtar, and I'll see you online. There's like can you hear that? The sirens out there? That's not my new catchphrase, by the way. It's not, can you hear the sirens? That's totally different. Bye. It's not ending. End the stream. Don't crash. There it goes. I got to restart this machine. Come on, end. End. It doesn't have voice commands. Just there it goes.